Hey folks, how you doing? Friends and potentially enemies of the channel might recognize this location. It's a nice bog in New Hampshire. Although technically this is a fen, this does have an outlet to it. But regardless, all watershed semantics aside, or I guess wetland semantics aside, we get a nice acidic habitat here. You got your pitcher plants, you got your Drosera, you got, in fact, a nice bog fen community going on. I was here this time last year. Actually, I'm a day after the day. I was here on May 9th last year. This is May 10th today. Is it today May 10th? What day is it today? Today's May 10th. So I was here a year ago, almost to the day, and I shot a video I absolutely loved, just covering, a bunch of the bog plants in bloom. I was gonna call it a bog in bloom. Super creative, I know, right? And I accidentally deleted that along with the video I shot up at Wachusett around the same time, and another video I had shot at the Fells. It wasn't nearly as good, but they were two early videos from last year, both I thought really good, and unfortunately due to a mishap with my SD card, they got accidentally deleted. So we're gonna pick up the pieces of that. We roll with every punch we receive here, and we're going to go cover a bunch of the bog plants in bloom today. Now, unfortunately, Drosera, the sundews, they're not even out yet. They're going to need a few more weeks to kind of emerge. They don't bloom till July. And pitcher plants are also, obviously those are evergreen. I mean, you can see, pitcher plants right down there. They don't go away for the winter. They just kind of die back a bit. Those are in bud right now. Those don't really bloom until later on in the month, early June. I shot a cool video like a month into the future, like an early mid-June video last year, and I was able to get some good close-up shots of the flowers. Plus, there's a plant spotlight about pitcher plants. If you really want to go know about pitcher plants, go watch that video. It's my most viewed video that I've done, so everybody likes that one. Anyway, without further ado, most of these plants we're going to be looking at are an Ericaceae. That's a common theme in this type of habitat. You get a lot of plants in Ericaceae. I mean, pitcher plants themselves are distant relatives of that blueberry family in the order Ericales, obviously in their own family, Sarraceniaceae. Why am I telling you all this when I can go show you? Let's go look at some cool springtime. They called us a bog, but it's a fen. Let's go look at some nice plants in bloom here. Okay, well, whatever. It's right here. It was literally the first thing I saw when I turned back around. This is, as I'm sure you're all well aware if you're into the bog and fen habitats of New England, Sarracenia purpurea. This is the northern pitcher plant, purple pitcher plant. It's our native pitcher plant up here in New England, as well as your native pitcher plant if you're anywhere north or northwest of the American Southeast, the Gulf Coast, basically. So they don't get this out west like I guess they do get a Sarracenia in the Pacific Northwest, but I think it's flava, and they have their own genus native to California, Oregon, Darlingtonia, but the entire family. Sarraceniaceae is restricted to the New World. They call them the New World pitcher plants. Just three genera: Sarracenia, which you get all over, the Southwest and Gulf Coast, and then you get this species, which you get up in Canada. It goes pretty far west too. Once you get up high enough, it goes pretty far west. You get it out in the Great Lakes too, and then out there, Northern California, Southern Oregon, you get Darlingtonia. Down in South America, up on the Tepuis, those you ever see the movie Up? The thing that they land the house on when they're down there, Roraima they call it, that's a tepui. They get heliamphora over there. And, you're thinking to yourself, well, I know there's more pitcher plants than that. Don't most of them grow as vines? Yeah, those are Nepenthes. Completely different order. Basically not related at all to Sarracenia. Those are the old world pitcher plants, just one genus. You get a whole bunch more of them. Like hundreds of species versus I think the dozen to 16 depending on how they break it out for Sarracenia. Heliamphora got like 20. Darlingtonia is monotypic. And then you get Cephalotus follicularis out there in Australia. This is all recap. Go watch the pitcher plant video if you want to get more info. I'm just showing it to you here because it is actually pretty far along. Like that bad boy's going to be popping open probably next week. But by that point, a lot of what I'm going to show you today will probably already, be on the way out. I also lied to you. I wasn't doing my due diligence and paying attention, because if you turn your attention right over to here, actually, can I get a better? Yeah, there we go. They're here. They're here, all right. There's your Drosera rotundifolia. Drosera intermedia is all over the place here as well. Not in bloom now. Will be in July. Venus flytrap family, Droseraceae, or as I like to call it, the sundew family, because Venus flytrap's a monotypic genus, and there's a whole bunch of Drosera all around the world. So we can get the carnivorous stuff out of the way first. I'm really trying not to harp on the carnivorous plants or the general chemistry of what's going on here, because I do cover that in more detail in other videos. But what are you gonna do? So let's go take a look at some more stuff here. Okay, hopefully you can hear me from all the way back here. I had to get creative on this one. This is Andromeda polifolia. It's a little far out for me to really get out there and show you, but that's it right there. Ursulet Corolla. You're gonna see that a few more times today, okay? Get used to that term, Ursulet Corolla. Those are those urn-shaped corollas. Gets the common name Bog Rosemary, but it's in family Sarracenia. No relation to rosemary at all. Doesn't even have the opposite leaves you'd expect to see on rosemary. Just a weird bog-loving plant. Few of them around. All of them are too far from the edge for me to get a good, boardwalk side shot. So that's all I can do for you. I'll reel this back in. Yeah, I had to really kind of MacGyver that. Here's what the leaves look like right there. You see? I can kind of vaguely looks like rosemary, but rosemary has opposite leaves. This has alternate. Rosemary is a Mediterranean plant, likes the drier habitat. See, there you go. You can see there's a whole patch of it. There's the one I was zooming in on with the flower. Kind of a pain in the ass to get that. I don't know why they grow so far off the boardwalk. And thank God they got a boardwalk here to keep schmucks from just trampling all this stuff. Pardon me, as I uncharismatically bring you over to the next plant. Just let me modulate my tripod. There's your sneak peek right there. We're talking about this guy real quick. All right. As I'm filming this video, my channel just got like a big boon in a subscriber count. So if you are, if you're tuning in from Reddit, I'm very grateful for you. I've had to not get into as many Reddit arguments lately because I realized, oh, hey, I'm getting a lot of traffic from Reddit to my YouTube channel. Let's not say anything too risque, Well, I guess I say a lot of risque things, but that's okay. Anyway, this is a Kalmia polifolia, same species epithet as that Andromeda. Don't get them confused. Also an Sarracenia, however, not doing Ursulet Corollas. This is a Kalmia. This is a mountain laurel. This is, and I always butcher. I'm not even going to say what tribe it's in. Just know that this is in a tribe that gets mostly different looking flowers. It's either Ericoideae, or I know for a fact it is Ericoideae, but I believe, is it the I'm not going to say. I'll put it down below and I'll say what it's related to, but it's in a tribe where you don't generally see the Ursulet urn-shaped corollas. You get different types of things. We're going to see a plant in a little bit that's going to really exemplify that. We're going to go look at a rhododendron. You can tell this one apart from Kalmia angustifolia, which has a pretty similar looking flower, a little bit more of a red tint to it, because it blooms earlier. I'll show you what the leaves look like. The leaves look different, and obviously, even though Kalmia angustifolia will kind of grow around the, around the rings, the edges of a habitat like this, you're not really going to see it in the middle of one like we are now. Obviously, Kalmia angustifolia, Kalmia latifolia is the big, beautiful mountain laurels that go off at the end of this month and in June. And then, of course, you have your, which one is it there? The Kalmia procumbens, the alpine one, the circumboreal one, the one that you guys might get over there. I think you guys get that in Europe. Most of this genus is restricted to the east coast of the United States think you got a species up there in the Pacific Northwest. They got a species down in Cuba, and I think the majority of them are found down through Appalachia and, you know, in the eastern U.S. Bring this tripod back over here. Oh, this one's got a little flower on it too. You know, opposite leaves, very waxy, very plastic-like. I believe all the other Kalmia, at least the 3 other species you get in New England, have alternate leaves. And yeah, I can give you a real good close-up shot of the flower here. 10 stamens, stigma style right there in the middle, green ovary down in the center. And if you were to you know, get in there with like a twig or something, you'd take note that this exemplifies a really cool trait that all the Kalmia do, which is those stamens are spring-loaded. And I always just love it. You can see it easier on mountain laurel. Those stamens are spring-loaded. If I can just kind of disturb one. You see you're a pollinator walking around. Yeah, okay. So these just need to be basically ripe to go. So this one's got a nice, like, this one looks good. You can kind of test them. That one went. Yeah, there you go. You see? So you're a bug crawling around in there. You're just, you know, walking over those little anther filaments, waiting for, you know, trying to get some nectar. They're going to bop you. They're going to dust with a bit of pollen as you know, get ready to fly off the next plant. Anyway, I had to actually just do that twice because it was completely out of focus the first time. So you got hopefully the better of the two shots I just took there. Okay, you want to talk about Ursulet Corollas. You don't need to go any further than this plant right here. This is Vaccinium corymbosum. This is the northern Highbush Blueberry. This is the big daddy Vaccinium we get, you know, up here in New England. Entire place just smells divine because of these flowers. Little beady stigma there at the end. If you were to go in there, you would find that the anthers are porose. So if something has to get up in there, vibrate at the proper frequency, and basically get that pollen out like a salt and pepper shaker. Inferior ovary, see that right there? That's swelling. That little nice little calyx, that's going to become the top of the blueberry. Those little 5 fringes you see on a blueberry, that's where those come from. And I mean, the leaves just are emerging, you know. They emerge with the flower. You can see when the flowers are done, they pop off. That stigma is persistent, and that blueberry is going to develop right from behind where that flower emerges. Ursulet. These things are not small plants. This is just the first one I saw. This one was all lit up, you know. These can get damn near tree-sized if you let them. So that's a great one. Let's go see. I'm going to put Daphne caliculata in a different video, even though that's in here. So we'll see if we can find a couple more of those. But I'm going to show you my favorite plant right now. Yeah, you see what I mean? Completely different plant. This was peaking in April. This is a residual flower off of Daphne caliculata. Those leaves are leathery, and I believe they're evergreen. And don't quote me on that. I'll double check. But same Ursulet Corolla, actually smaller flower, just born on a slightly different type of raceme. These are done. This is just one that, you know, was kind of delayed. But you come through here in the same way that Vaccinium corymbosum's lighting up kind of the mid-story. This thing was lighting up the understory about, I mean, almost a month ago, this thing was starting to go off. So, you know, both very, very important plants. I think you get this one. I don't know, the Vaccinium corymbosum I can't speak to. I think that's an American plant. This one, I know you guys get this in Europe in the right type of habitat. This one's circumboreal. Really cool plant, very important. One of the dominant plants, kind of forms the majority of the low-growing vegetation in the bog. And yeah, that's that. Little Picea mariana cone. Black spruce, don't need to get into that right now. Don't need to start throwing conifers into a video. It's mostly just about flower morphology. But I mean, these, and yes, this is the edible, you know, commercial blueberry. They make cultivars off of this, but this is one of the species that if you want to plant blueberries at your house, this is what you're going for. And I mean, there's so many of them. They produce so many berries. You see why they're so important. Very, very cool plant. Easy one to write off. One I really should do you know, a plant spotlight on. I'm just not going to focus on that today. I'll have other opportunities to really capture this in its true glory. So let's take a look at a rhododendron, and then let's take a look at I think there's a cool Ilex in here. There's a Aronia starting to go off. We've got a couple more things to cover. Okay, here you go. Here's a nice rhododendron. This is one I'm actually growing. So this is in the family Ericaceae, same family as the Canadense, same family as the Vaccinium, same family as pretty much everything we've looked at so far, except for the pitcher plants, but same order as the pitcher plants. This is Rhododendron Canadensis. This is one of the, God, I don't know, 1,500 species of rhododendron. This one is not considered an azalea, and I'm not going to elaborate on that further because common names are stupid and you should focus instead on taxonomy. Just know this is actually a surprisingly restricted range rhododendron. You get it in New England, I think you get it in New York, and you get it in the Canadian Maritimes. I'm going to relook at the population map, maybe down Appalachia a little bit, and then maybe out into the Great Lakes a little bit, but I'm not too sure about that second one. I'll verify. So this is Rhododendron Canadensis. They call this the Rhodora. This one does shed its leaves in the winter, which I was mistaken on because I grew one and the seedling did not drop its leaves. Instead, just opted to put out a new flush of leaves this year. Of course, that guy's only about this big. Slow growing plant. You see it down here in these types of habitats. I've also seen it up in the White Mountains. Does pretty well, you know, in those communities. It'll come up with like rhododendron growing landicum and, you know, Kalmia polifolia up there too, although that's a, you know, slightly different habitat thing going on there. So this kind of looks like a cluster here, but what you're fundamentally dealing with is actually not that complicated of a flower structure. Let's find a good one to kind of focus our attention on. Let's go with this guy right here. So these are actually clusters of multiple flowers, and what you're dealing with is they pop out of these terminal ends of these branches. Also, all I can hear right now is just bees flying around. Hang on, let me do something real quick. I'm having trouble. Okay, that's gonna work for me right there. So I'll do the arrows instead of sticking my fingers in there. So this is about 3 flowers born on the end of this branch here. You get 10 stamens of different lengths. This is a zygomorphic flower. This is only symmetrical if you cut it in half. That's your stigma and style poking out there on the bottom. And you can kind of see what's going on there with the flowers. Get a little different angle here. So, this is a 5-petaled flower. And what's happening is you get 3 fused petals on the top, 2 free petals on the bottom. A lot of them, yeah, that's a nice one, on the top have that nice striking marking. You see with a lot of rhododendrons on their top petal, they'll have a real nice, you know, marking to it, especially the ones that are doing any sort of, you know, floral modification, combining their petals. Rhododendron maximum, which has beautiful white to light pink flowers, has some nice green striation up top. I'll put a little picture I got last year of that. Doesn't look much like a blueberry or like any of the Ursulet Corolla guys, but you know, Ericaceae kind of does its own thing. What a beautiful plant, one of my favorites. Really can tolerate some pretty damn harsh conditions. Grows here, grows up in the whites. Little makes a little hard capsule when those flowers fall off. Yeah, you can see there's one of the fruits developing there. Not too hard to grow from seed. You just got to take care of it. They start off awfully small. And, you know, I tried to put this as the intro shot, you know. They just go back. Another dominant shrub species here, right along with the Canadense and the Vaccinium. In fact, I mean, that's what it's growing up through. Here's an Aronia right here. Aronia melanocarpa. This is in Rosaceae though. I saw one of these going off. We'll go find that. We'll talk about that. And in all honesty, I don't have much else for you. Oh yeah, these look real cool in bud. Little purple bananas. Those are the rhododendron flowers in bud there. Oh, Areophorum vaginatum. So those have already gone to seed. All those little cotton balls, those are all leading down to a little sedge seed. They get dispersed. That's a great one. I talked about that. I actually showed you the flowers in another video I shot here earlier this year. Yeah, you can see some of these. These are looking a little better over here. God, beautiful flowers. They don't smell like much, though. Some rhododendrons smell like intoxicating, like Rhododendron Canadensis has such a pleasant smell. And some of them don't really smell like much of anything, or they just have a mild smell. These ones don't smell like much of anything. Great plant. I don't know why it doesn't get planted out ornamentally more. It's been doing fine in my garden, just a little baby one. I don't know, maybe I'll be eating my words. But, you know, quite a few native rhododendron species in New England, all of which should be planted out more often than they are. Rhododendron maximum is pretty much the only one you manage to see with any sort of a frequency. And I mean, the bees are just going to town on all these things over here. Let's go look at an Aronia. Yeah, look at this tubalard. Wait, no honeybees here, huh? Just native bees. Why do you think that is? Could it be that honeybees are a bit overrated? Look at this guy going to town here. This is why you gotta plant this shit. Support your native bees. Support native insects in general, man. I'm so sick of the whole, oh, I don't like bugs. I don't like bugs. Yeah, I know. I get it. I'm annoyed by mosquitoes and by ticks. Spend a lot more time outside than the average person. I pick them off me all the time. But you know what? It's you gotta think about what these things, you know, support. Like the bumblebees do all this work. They don't produce honey, but they are doing some really critical services for the ecosystem. I don't know. Nothing personal against honeybees. I got some living in my backyard, but they don't really do much pollinating of a lot of my native plants that I've got planted. Don't get me wrong; they're not doing nothing, but they're less than a small piece of the puzzle. They're not a piece of the puzzle at all. There's no native species of Apis to North America. There was one. They have a fossil, Apis nearctica. So we did at one point have a honeybee species that's now extinct. But honeybees, that genus, they're not. They don't do anything in North America. They're not from here, and they're not the secret sauce you need to keep. They're not the answer. You know what I mean? They're not going to keep things like this going forever. They're not keeping things going at all in a lot of cases. But anyway, I'm not one of these. You know, fuck honeybees. I hate them. I just, you know, I mean, they're like feral cats, or like, you know, free grazing cattle. It's not their fault. They're just, you know, they're just domesticated animals basically. They don't really belong in nature at all. You know, and don't get me wrong, I love cats, dude, but you know what I mean? It's not, oh, he's part of the ecosystem. No, he's not. He's a fucking domesticated house cat. House cat, there's a key word there. Felix domesticus. What do you think domestic means? They don't keep him inside. When I was younger, I had one that got killed by a fisher cat or something, and I'll never put a house cat outside ever again. Jesus. Anyway, that's another of a tangent to go on there. No hate at all. They're completely dependent on us. It's not their fault. Blame the people. Don't blame the animals. I get it. Honeybees are gentle. They're cute as shit. Cats are cute as shit. And I just, you know, they deserve a better life. If you're keeping them in hives responsibly, that's one thing. Great to have around, especially if you've got like a food garden, which I do. They pollinate a ton of that stuff because a ton of that stuff's from Europe anyway. But, you know, whatever. This rant's gone on long enough. Give a shout out to the pitch pine. One of the few trees that's hacking it here. Pitch pine, black spruce, and then tamarack, but they're not over here. You gotta go. I'm not going all the way over to where the tamarack are growing in here. They're in the previous video. You can go back and see them. Where's this Aronia? Let's go look at that. Let's walk and talk for a second. If I'm feeling chatty, I don't like doing this because it gets sloppy. It has its time and its place, though. Sorry for my unhinged, you know, honeybee feral cat rant. I really do think that they both are really interesting animals. Just, okay, here we go. Here's Aronia. You gotta, invasive species cause a massive detriment. Invasive species, climate change, habitat loss, they're all key issues. But anyway, here's Aronia melanocarpa. This is the black chokeberry. Black chokecherry, black chokeberry. I can never seem to get it quite right. But you know, you can make a little jam out of these fruits here, but they're pretty unpalatable. Rosaceae is the family. God, I don't have much to say about this because I don't really talk much about a lot of the roses now, do I? Nice red anthers, 5 petals. Calyx isn't much to write home about, but, you know, numerous stamens, get a little dentation on the margins there, all trademarks of the rose family. If this isn't amygdaloideae, I'll be eating my hat, but I believe it is amygdaloideae, so same subfamily as a whole bunch of important commercial crops, same subfamily as like amelanchier, prunus, cherries, service berries, apples, malus. Of course, that gets broken out into tribes. Rosaceae is a huge family and whatnot, but yeah, this is one of the cool ones. You don't see it everywhere. You just gotta kind of pick out the right habitat. And I'm sitting back now, and I'm noticing that this right here, that's a holly. That's Ilex. I think verticillata. It's either verticillata or mucronata. I don't know. I'm starting to get more into the hollies. I thought that there was only, you know, a couple of them, but indeed you get more. Real weird plants. You see that? Hang on. I know this is on the way out too, so maybe we'll get a second shot to look at it, but those are some of the flowers there. It's one of the hollies. I just don't know offhand which one it is. Are these dioecious? Are we dealing with two different sexes here? Some more flowers. Aquifoliaceae. In a previous video, I said that this was also an Ericales. I was lying. This is an Aquifoliales. It has its own whole own order with a whole bunch of other families in it that I know nothing about, that just don't grow anywhere near here. But we got a few species of Ilex. This is holly here in New England. Ilex opaca, which is just American holly, is one that I got really familiar with down in a swamp when I was hunting for Neotia cordata. That's a real cool one. Actually, this whole grove right here, this is a whole stand of it. And this is, you know, come back to spots more than once, guys. You really got to do that. You owe it to yourself. This is a whole grove of it, and I've been here dozens of times, and I never even noticed that this is a holly. Winterberry, I think, is the common name for this one. I was treating this as an afterthought. I was going to see it on the way out, but it presented itself right here to me. Another open flower on the Aronia. It's got to be amygdaloideae. Smells pretty good too. But yeah, birds love these, the berries, when they come out. Important food source. Inkberry maybe is the other common name. I don't know why I'm trying to piece it together right now offhand. I don't have to do that. Yeah, sorry, the goddamn camera died. I was going to say, I think we covered just about everything I wanted to cover. I'm going to take a couple of nice pictures to send them to the boys. And, you know, be back here. You get some cool orchids coming up here. You get the Drosera flowers. You get a whole bunch of other stuff that comes up here later in the summer, but it's all kind of one at a time. The first time I came here, I was able to get real good pictures of the orchid Calopogon tuberosus. Go check out the carnivorous plants in New England if you want to see that. And then nothing else was blooming. And then you come back here in like July, you get a cool loose strife that blooms. You got a you know, the Kalmia angustifolia was going off when I came here with the Calopogon, but then in June, different stuff at different times. Now is when most of the stuff is really getting started. I'll leave you with just you can see that little brown thing right there. That's what the spent fruits from last year from the rhododendron look like. So hopefully you get something out of that. Ton of just intensely fascinating plants here. Yeah, I guess that's I'm just stupid, dude. That's the Ilex. That's the holly right there that grows in here. You know, overstory, what passes for an overstory. Pitch pine, black spruce, tamarack, gray birch, betula, populifolia. You get some red maple here. I've learned to really, really love the red maple. Yeah, what more can you ask for? The amelanchier, I saw it. It was already done. I missed it completely. I don't know what happened there, but that's kind of looks similar to the chokeberry, to the Aronia, but the flowers are a little bit bigger, and it's more of a tree, less of a... This will grow as a nice dense shrub. That'll pop up into a small tree. Anyway, I think that's about all I got. I don't think I succeeded in making this any more condensed than the video was last year. Maybe I'll do a little bit more research on Aquifoliaceae. There's a couple that I haven't seen. This one and then Opaca are the two that I've kind of covered. But well, now I've covered this one. Weird looking flowers though, huh? No spines on this one. Quite a few of them. It's notorious for being spiny, especially Ilex opaca. No spines on this one. I don't think these will grow into an actual literal tree like Ilex opaca will. But anyway, I could keep going on forever. We covered a ton of good stuff. Just basically looking at nice shots. So what else could you ask for? I'm gonna skedaddle on out of here. I'm gonna go fry up some chicken, and I think we're gonna have a good evening. I'm gonna try and go complete a mustard video tomorrow, and then maybe get out to Wachusett Sunday. But you know, I'm house hunting, which is not fun. So take it easy. Yeah. See, here's that Ilex again. I think that these are dioecious. You'll have to pardon me for not doing more research. These look like staminate flowers without any sort of ovary or pistil or stamen, so these must be male. And then the other one, which I'm just like, where are all the anthers, had that little middle part. Those must have been the female ones. I'll verify, pretty easy to check, but you know, it might be, I think it's one of those families where most of the plants are, you know, dioecious, male and female plants, you know, separate. Any case, that's the only follow-up I have for you. Oh yeah, speaking of Betula populifolia, gray birch, that's what its flowers look like. Just hang down in catkins, dumping pollen goddamn everywhere. No regard for your allergies or anything like that. Those are the male flowers, so those are where it's dumping pollen out. Female flowers are usually higher up and smaller. I can't see any from here. But this is a monoecious plant. A lot of these are monoecious. You get male and female flowers born on you know, different parts of the plant. You just get different flowers. Yeah, this is catkins. Hang on, let me get in the tiny, so you gotta get the zoom dialed in, you know. Yeah, you can see all those in there, packed full of stamens, packed full of pollen. Shake the thing, it's dumping pollen out. You know, it's a fun time. Phagales is the order, and most of them are doing that. Oaks, birches, beeches. What else is in Phagales? Doesn't really matter. Lots of really important trees. Lots of them are doing, you know, catkins. Betulaceae, you know, hazels are in that too. But really, it's starting to get dark, and I think that's about all I'm gonna have time for. Hopefully, I don't delete this one, and hopefully, I get a chance to go reshoot that Wachusett video. So anyway, take it easy. Have a good one.